Welcome everyone once more. Thank you for coming. Start. Omagyan Timirandasya Gyananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manuvishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kanta Namastite. Saptakanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishpanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriyayi. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमामि विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी विचार्य निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Before we start, I want to know how many of you actually studied and came. How many, be honest, how many of you read the first 30 verses? Did all of you read or did you not read? It's fine to not read or read, but I want to know the reality. How many are studying? That will define the speed of my class. Did everyone read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
I read.
chapter 1.
Okay. Anybody who did not or could not read? Yeah? So the silence on both ends means what? I don't know. Did you read? No answer. Did you not read? No answer. It's a very small class. It can't go on like this, no? Did anyone read?
Yes, Mataji, we have read.
Yes, Mataji.
You read.
Yes, Mataji.
Is there anyone who could not read? Okay, you have to open up. Chalo, we'll start. Second chapter is called as Contents of Bhagavad Gita Summarized. Let's pay our obeisances to Shri Radha Govinda. Before we start, we say, Krishna, the meaning of coming to class of Bhakti Shastri is more or like revising what you already studied. It's a very self-driven course. You reinforce and get your questions answered. This is chapter 1. What is the name of chapter 1? What is the name of chapter 1 again?
Yeah, observing the army, the battlefield.
Observing the armies on the battlefield, or in Gita Bhushan by Baldev Vidyabhushan Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada, the chapter name is Arjun Vishad Yog. Okay. So there were 46 verses, and the chapter is divided into 2 sections for understanding. The first section is from verse 1 to 27. Introduction and preparation for the war, and then the second part of this chapter is about Arjun's doubt. How many reasons did Arjun give for not fighting in chapter number 1? How many reasons?
5.
Eight.
5.
5, Mataji.
In chapter 1. 5 total. Okay, 5 total. How
4.
many he gave? He gave 4. Somebody said 4 reasons. So yes, good. What are the 4 reasons he gave? 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the 4 reasons he gave in chapter 1 for not fighting?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can I try?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
So compassion for friends and relatives, no enjoyment, because even if he wins, then there's nobody with him to celebrate. Fear of sinful reactions of the war that he thinks will come on to him, and destruction of family traditions.
Family dynasty, very nice. Yeah. Okay.
These are the 4 reasons in chapter 1.
What is the 5th reason remaining that he is yet to give?
Indecisiveness.
Indecision, very nice. Thank you. So, okay, so we are oriented, time, place, and person, what we are doing. So again, observing the armies, Arjun gives reason for not wishing to fight, compassion, no enjoyment, destruction of the family dynasty, and fear of sinful reactions. And then in chapter 2, in verse number 6, he'll give a 5th reason, which is indecision. And then those reasons become a reason for Arjun to surrender to Krishna as a disciple. Once he surrenders onto Krishna as a disciple, Krishna starts revealing the transcendental knowledge. Prabhupada writes in the purport of verse number 1 of this chapter that in chapter 2, Krishna gives an analytical reason of the differences between material and spiritual. There's a lot of analysis, right? So this chapter is one of the longest chapters in Bhagavad Gita. Another longest chapter is which one? Chapter 2, and which is the other long chapter?
18.
18. Which is the shortest chapter?
Chapter number 12 and 15.
12 has how many verses?
20.
And 15 has
20,
15.
20.
Yes.
So chapter
nice.
15.
15 also,
Yes.
Mataji.
Yes, thank you. Not that it will come in your Bhakti Shastri exam, but just shows how many times we are reading. All right, so we will cover the first 2 sections today, hopefully. In verse 1 to 10, Arjun further his doubts and then discussion about his surrender. Then 11 to 30, where we are going to focus is Krishna is going to give Gyan, which is going to become a reason for his indecision. Actually, the reason for his indecision is throughout. And according to Bhakti Shastri, understanding the real reason for indecision or real answer from Krishna to the argument of indecision will come in verse 41. All right, so then Krishna talks about Karmakand, then Buddhi Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, and then last part is Arjun asks Krishna another question that how does the Siddha Prajna look like? How does a person sit, walk, and talk? So Arjun's further doubts and his surrenders. After Arjun continues to express his doubts about fighting, he surrenders to Krishna for instruction. He's still expressing his doubts. He's not done yet. Who wants to recite the verse? Can have some recitations today. You can actually keep your hands raised. And we can continue to recite. Anya Mataji. Shilpa Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sanjaya Uvacha Tam Tatha Kripayavistam Ashrupurnakulekshanam Vishidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudana. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. So you see, this conversation is going on, 2 parallel conversations, right? Outer conversation is about the event and people. Remember, we discussed this in the introduction, which is going on between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. And then there's an inner conversation about the transcendental knowledge and clearing of the doubts, which is going on between Krishna and Arjun. So periodically, the focus of Bhagavad Gita will switch from conversation between Arjun and Krishna to conversation between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. In this particular verse, the focus is that Sanjay is going to describe that Arjun, after he said all the things, and he tells Krishna that I'm not going to fight. And in this particular verse, the focus is that Krishna is addressed as his eyes are filled with fear. Ashru Purna Kule Kshanam. Right? His eyes are filled with tears. And he's addressing Krishna as what name? What name is he using for Krishna in this verse?
Madhusudan.
Madhusudana. Why Madhusudan? What's the importance of this name Madhusudan?
Killer of Madhu Demon.
Yes, very nice. Okay, that's why it's called Madhusudan. But why Arjun has chosen this name in this particular?
Hare
So that he
Krishna,
can
Mataji.
kill his doubts also.
Right. So
Yes.
doubts are like demons. Very nice. So doubts are like demons. If we go on living with the doubts, then we actually can't progress. So, and also the other thing that Prabhupada emphasizes in this verse is that Arjun is still lamenting, like an ignorant man. Okay, and then he speaks, but he speaks like an ignorant man. And Prabhupada writes that why self-realization is so difficult for a common person. Why is it so difficult for a common person? The last line of the purport describes that. Okay, so 3 things He's still speaking like ignorant man. He's addressing Krishna as Madhusudan. And then there's an answer to the question why the spiritual realization is difficult for a common man. Why? The last line of puppet, I'm giving you the hint also.
Because attached to fruitive results, Mataji.
Yes, the Prabhupada writes, you can just read it. Realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruitive results and is situated in the conception of one's real self. So why we find Krishna consciousness difficult is because there is still an attachment to the result of the fruitive activity. So seeing Arjun depressed, Krishna thus spoke. Let's see what's happening. So material compassion, lamentation, and tears are signs of ignorance of the real eternal soul. And self-realization means that fully realizing one's eternal situation. Okay, there are two kinds of compassion. One compassion arises from, this is basically in verse 2. It's a bridge between verse 1 and verse 2, basically. One compassion is arising from material identity, lamentation, and tears. And another is from self-realization. And then in verse 2, Srila Prabhupada gives an analogy, which I will ask. Why did I show this? What is the analogy given in verse number 2 by Srila Prabhupada about defining the difference between material compassion and spiritual compassion? Yes, what is the analogy given? पढ़ के आना पड़ेगा. You can't. Huh?
Hare Krishna, drowning man, his outward dress.
Actually, the compassion is analogy is given in verse number 1 only. Yes. What is the analogy, Mataji? What about the drowning dress?
About the drowning man, we should not look at his dress. You don't look, you save the person, not the dress. So same way we have fallen in the ocean of nescience. So it's very much important that we pay attention to the soul.
Very nice. So yeah, very nice. Thank you. Why our attempts in the material world are always futile? Because we are not directing our compassion at the right place. So according to Prabhupada's description, the analogy of saving the dress of a drowning man. It's not important, right? What is important is the man. So chapter 2 discusses self-realization by analytical study of the soul and the material body, which is explained by Krishna. Okay, this is in bird's eye view, what's happening in verse number 1. Important to realize because if we don't, then we don't know what holds in the further verses. In chapter 2, verse number 2, Krishna starts to talk. And he says that, my dear Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you? They're not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. So Krishna is actually basically expressing his surprise at how Arjun is becoming so pity-hearted. And Srila Prabhupada talks about the conception of Bhagwan, because it's not that Krishna is, they're still talking as friends. And Arjun will actually give more reasons why he doesn't want to fight. But Krishna has paused here and said that that these are impurities. Means they're not pure thoughts. And Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and actually he is equivalent to the conception of Bhagwan. What are the 3 phases of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are the 3 levels of self-realization? What are the 3 levels?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, no, I don't want the same person's people are answering. So maybe we should raise hands. Why don't we do that? I want the participation from everyone, and it's okay to be wrong. Ambika Mataji, go ahead.
The absolute truth can be realized in 3 phases, Mataji. The Brahman, Paramatma, and the Bhagavan.
Explain, please, what is Brahman realization, what is Paramatma, what is Bhagavan?
Brahman realization is the effulgence of the Lord, the impersonal form. The Paramatma is situated in the heart of the living entity. And the Bhagavan realization is the personal form of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
What is the analogy given?
the sunshine, the sun disk, and the sun planet.
Sunshine, sun globe, and the sun planet. Think again. You're going
Sun
good.
planet.
Think again. Sun globe and sun disk and sun planet is one and the same thing. So sunshine is equivalent to Brahman.
The
Wait,
Brahman.
give it a chance, and then
The
Paramatma
sunshine is equivalent to the Brahman form. The sun disk is equivalent to the Paramatma, and the sun planet is equivalent to the Supreme Personality.
Inside the sun is considered to be a supreme relation.
So inside the sun, who is considered equivalent to Bhagavan in this analogy?
Yeah, the sun rays considered to be Brahman relation, and the sun surface considered to be Paramatma relation. And if we get to know what is there inside the sun, that is the supreme relation.
What is this there inside the sun? That's considered to be
Sun God.
Sun God, Viswan.
Sun God, yeah, Swan.
Vivaswan.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Mataji. Okay. So that way, and then there's what are the six opulences that constitute the definition of Bhagwan, which is befitting only to Krishna and nobody else? You can raise your hand. Ambikataji, you answered. Somebody else who has not answered. Nikhil Kapoor Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. What are the six opulences?
Hare Krishna Mataji. All powerful, all beautiful, all renunciation, all opulences. Missing two.
Try. All knowledge.
All knowledge.
And then
All wealth.
he said no, all riches. Did you say all riches?
All opulences.
All
Yeah,
fame,
yeah, I
all
said.
fame.
All fame.
Also.
All fame. Okay. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. Say, Prabhu.
All fame, all opulences, all knowledge, all powerful, all renunciation, and
all beauty.
All beauty.
Okay, thank you. So, Bhagwan Krishna, there are so many people who are powerful, who are rich, who are knowledgeable, who are renounced from whatever they have, who are beautiful, who have so much of opulences, but we cannot say that they have it all. You know, every single riches of the entire creation is owned by them. No, only Krishna befits that particular definition. And the third thing is Krishna is defining who is an Aryan. Who's an Aryan? Because he's saying, no, Krishna is addressing Arjun that how have these impurities come upon you? And then Prabhupada is explaining that he's considering Arjun as an Aryan. What's the definition of an Aryan? Just raise your hand, please. I want to know. Write to me in the chat. Otherwise, I'll start taking names. Can't escape. Okay, and I think Andrea Mataji, yes, go ahead. What's an Aryan?
One who follows the Vedic civilization or the path of self-realization. One who's walking that path.
Yes, so whose life is based on the civilization, or who knows the value of human life. Means knows the difference between the human form of life and other forms of life. So Arjun, Krishna is very surprised with this. But then Arjun doesn't stop there. He'll keep talking. Krishna will encourage him. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. So he's saying, first he said that these are the impurities. And now he says this is a petty weakness of heart. And says you have to overcome both of these things, the impurities and the petty weakness of heart. And Arjun is addressed as what in this verse? I'm going very quick here. Arjun is addressed as what? Oh, son of Pritha. What makes
Prita
Krishna?
Mataji.
It's very nice. So what makes Krishna address Arjun as son of Pritha? What is Krishna trying to remind Arjun here?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Arjuna is the son of Kunti, who is otherwise called Prita. She is a sister of Krishna's father Vasudeva.
So he's trying to remind Arjun that actually we have a blood relationship, and also you're a Kshatriya. Don't forget your responsibility. You're coming from this kind of a family. Okay. Then Arjun actually goes on to explain more. O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship? You know, these few verses 4, 5, and 6, Arjun fully expresses his last tale of reasons that he's not gonna fight. Fully. And this is like he doesn't want to counterattack the arrows of men like Bhishma and Drona who are actually worthy of my worship. Prabhupada says in the purport that generally the etiquette is the elders are not to be even offered a verbal fight. Forget about shooting arrows and actually killing them. Right? So it's a very interesting conversation because in one hand, Krishna is telling Arjun that you are carrying the impurities in your heart, and then he's also saying that this is a degrading impotence, right? And then he's also saying that this is a pity weakness of the heart. But on the other hand, as we will read in 3 more verses, that he actually appreciates that Arjun is having so much compassion for all living entities, and that makes befitting only Arjun to hear instructions from Krishna directly. Okay, so nothing much to add here. Then in verse 5, he says, again, he reminds, this is repetition. He said this in the earlier as well. It is better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they're killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. So it's better, he's telling Krishna what's better. That better to live by begging than actually killing such personalities who are worthy of our worship. Because again, this is going to be a sinful reaction. Now, Prabhupada writes in the purport that generally, yes, teachers are not to be killed by the arrow of a student. But what made Bhishma and Drona and others lose their position as a teacher? What made them? Yeah, what made them lose their position as a teacher? Okay, who else can answer this? So I think it's a routine in every class I give. Whoever gets into the momentum of answering, they go on the momentum of answering, and others just leave. Linit Reddy Mataji, yes, Mataji. Would you like to tell me what made
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Prabhu? Okay, Hare Krishna, go ahead.
Mataji, Bhishma and Drona lost their position as teachers because when they were quiet during Draupadi's Chirharan in the assembly, that made them lose their position. And when they sided with Duryodhan because they were financially dependent on him instead of being normal, instead of Dronacharya especially being a Brahmana who is not expected to take any financial advices or any financial support. When they relied on Duryodhan for financial support, that's when they were fit to be killed by Arjuna in the battle, Mataji.
That they lost their position as a teacher.
Yeah, they lost their position as a
Thank
teacher.
you.
My bad. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you very much. See, the class is good. So they lost their position as a teacher because of those reasons, that they did not refute the attempt to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly. And also they sided with Duryodhan because of the financial assistance that he was giving them. So if you actually go more deep, there is a difference between spirituality and morality. Okay, the moral codes of this world are not same as the spiritual codes, because moral codes help us to live in this world, but spiritual codes, which are sometimes in alignment of the moral codes of this world, but sometimes are not in alignment, because they're actually supposed to extricate us from this world. Right? For example, Prabhupada gives example of us. I'll give you some example of a moral code is when a father has been killed, should a son garland the killer of the father? Is that moral? Somebody's father has been killed and the son goes and garlands the killer. Is that moral?
No, Mataji.
No.
It's not moral. But then we see that Prahlad Maharaj is garlanding Narasimhadev. And Narasimhadev has actually killed his father. There's a difference, right? And then other example in the Shastras is Prabhupada gives example that in the middle of the night, is it moral for the woman to leave their house and go to jungle to meet a second man? Is it moral? Is it according to the moral codes of the society that we live in?
No,
No,
Mataji.
Mataji.
But the worship of the gopis is considered to be the highest, even by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when they did that, right? So it's because so it's not in alignment with the moral code, but it is the highest spiritual code. So that way, morality and spirituality sometimes may overlap, sometimes it does not overlap. And even when it doesn't overlap, spiritual codes are superior to moral codes. That's okay. Here, the spiritual code is Krishna is saying do it. Okay. But here, the moral code is also aligning because they lost their position as a teacher. It's not that they were still acting as teacher because they lost the position. So it was spiritual and morally correct. And Krishna and Arjun continues to say, nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. So conquering them or by conquered by them. So this is one of the verses which talks about indecision. So he says that I know that I'm a Kshatriya and I know that I'm supposed to fight. That's my religious duty in that Varna and ashram. But I am not able to decide. How can I go in life further in life without making a concrete decision? So indecision. So the little bit of a discussion about indecision is different individuals affected prominently by different modes of nature will make decisions differently. What is the symptom of a person who is in the mode of ignorance? In mode of ignorance, most prominent in the personality, can't make a decision. It's very difficult for them to make any decision. So some people are there in our lives, or maybe we were like that. It's difficult to make any decision when that's prominent in mode of ignorance. Now, mode of passion, the symptom of a person who is in the mode of prominently mode of passion, what kind of a decision will they make? Impulsive decision. Right? It's not going to be a very thoughtful and introspective decision. And be out of the impulse. Have you heard some people in the world who are like, okay, we just make last minute decisions. We don't actually think too much. We just go with the flow at the last minute. Have you heard something sounds familiar? I have heard it so many times.
Definitely,
Yeah?
Mataji.
So that's like a result of the mode of passion. Like, you know that this is so impulsive decision. Now, a person in the mode of goodness will make decisions which are very introspective, very thoughtful and well sorted for. Like they will seek discussion with superiors, go to other personalities who they consider are more experienced. But then there is that's which sounds better, the decision-making ability in prominently in the mode of ignorance, passion or ignorance, passion or goodness. Which sounds better? It sounds better.
Goodness.
Naturally, not goodness, naturally. But there is a shortcoming there as well. And shortcoming is that person in the mode of ignorance will be very thoughtful, will have a very good internal dialogue, will look at the pros and cons, and also approach the person who is more experienced for their insight. But the thing is that the people that they approach are also limited. They're not giving a transcendental overview. Okay, in Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Krishna is considered as Turiya. The word used for Krishna is Turiya. Now, what is the meaning of the word Turiya? Turiya means fourth dimension. Okay, and Krishna is in fourth dimension. How do we say that Krishna is in fourth dimension? Krishna is not affected by the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. Krishna is not in the category of the three Vishnus, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and Shridaksha Vishnu. Krishna is not in the category of Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Right? So like that, Krishna is not impacted by three domains of the time, past, present, and future. Like that, Krishna is actually considered as Turiya. The word Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhupada uses is Turiya, fourth dimension. So now what is the best decision? What kind of decisions are the best decisions? The best decision are the decisions which we are sorting off in that dimension. Okay, so this actually tells us that there's so much like inability or fault, right? What are the four kinds of defects of a conditioned soul, which we read in the preface and introduction of Bhagavad Gita? What are the four kinds of defects? You can raise your hand and say. Kya Kirti Mataji was gonna say?
Yes, Mataji, we make mistakes and we are prone to illusion. We have a cheating propensity and our senses are imperfect.
Very nice. So yeah, so very nice. Let me see if I remember the sequence. Let me think. So that because our senses are imperfect, we get illusioned. And because we get illusioned, we make mistakes. And all these are excusable. Okay, because the senses are imperfect, can't do anything about it. I can't look at the back of my head with the eyes I have in the front. What can you do? So it's limited. So there's an illusion. And then illusion makes us make mistakes. Okay, these three are okay. But then the fourth mistake, a fourth shortcoming of a conditioned soul is cheating propensity. That is unforgivable. So that's not forgivable because that leads to, sustenance in the material world. So, so Krishna, Arjun is approaching Krishna for making a decision. And that is actually the highest level of approach shown by Arjun to each one of us, and how actually we should sort for asking for a solution to the problem. Okay, got it? So even if I go, okay, I'm going to solve the problem myself, I will rather not solve the problem. I'll just sleep with the problem. That's mode of ignorance. I'll solve the problem when the problem comes, not saving an umbrella for a rainy day. That's mode of passion. Mode of goodness, okay, I am anticipating, let's say, people plan for the retirement, right? Okay, I'm anticipating my retirement in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So I'm going to do like this, do like that, approach a asset management, finance advisor, do this, right? Okay, that's mode of goodness. You're somewhat mode of goodness, always mixed with passion and ignorance. But they're still not going to give us happiness. The happiness is only when the decision is made in mode of transcendental goodness, which Arjun is going to do. So indecision. And then this is the verse which is a game changer for the whole Bhagavad Gita, right? What is the verse? Does anyone know the verse? Karpanya dosho pahato sabhava. Yeah, Mataji, go ahead.
Karpanyadoshopahatah swabhava pruchami tvam dharma samodachetaha yachreyasyan bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam.
Thank you. Arjun said, now I'm confused about my duty and I'm your disciple and a soul surrender unto you. Please instruct me. So here he has totally changed the relationship. He is requesting Krishna to change relationship from friend to that of a disciple and a student. Why is it important to change the relationship from this friend to a disciple? Why is it important? Why is it important? He could have just stayed as a friend, no? Yes, Madan Mohan, Krishna Lila Das.
Actually, Hare Krishna Mataji, if we instruct anything as a friend, then it will be like something like we are giving some suggestions. But as soon as we accept as a spiritual master and give instruction, that we have to follow, because that comes from Samprada and Parampara. So it like it's an order from a superior. So we have to follow it that and go ahead for the instruction, which will not work, I think, in like a friend.
Very nice. The relationship carries more weightage. Very nice. Thank you very much. Alka Mataji, you were saying something?
Yes, Mataji, same thing I was also saying, that if he becomes a student or like a disciple, only then he will be able to understand. For a friend, actually, it will be maybe some casual type of approach will come, and he may take that casually, not like a student.
Very nice. Yeah, there's more weight. So Prabhupada explains in the purport, by nature's way, the material activities are source of perplexities. How many of us are asking for a rise in the petrol prices today? Anybody here asking, oh my God, the petrol is so cheap, let it rise a little more, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times? Huh?
No,
No,
not at all.
But they're not becoming, it's not becoming any cheaper. So that way, or how many of us are asking for a vacation to hospital? So long I haven't been to hospital. It's a vacation. You sit in a room, nurses will come and they will serve you. Yeah, how many of us wanted to go and take a break and vacation in a hospital room? Anybody?
No.
But then these things happen, these things happen. So because it's like nobody goes in the forest to set fire. Anybody here going in the forest to set fire? Bare bahut din ho gaye, fire nahi hui. So, anybody going? I'm missing the fire in the forest. But it takes place. It takes place so much. Right? Last summer, there was so much fire in Canada that we were getting an impact in Northeast US, right? So bad. So, the source of perplexity, it's by nature, it's going to happen. And it happens even in the life of a devotee, where Queen Kunti prays to Krishna and actually jots down all the perplexities that they have been through. So what is the solution? We cannot solve the solution by creating a material solution to a material problem. It cannot happen. In our own life, material solution to a material problem is not going to work. Prabhupada gives an example of a person who comes to the hospital because of syphilis. So what is the solution for a person with syphilis? Injection of a penicillin, right? But is that really a solution? Does it guarantee that the person will not get the disease again? That's the solution. No, that you actually don't get the disease again. But is that really a solution? Prabhupada gives this example. Yeah, I'm not giving my example. It's Prabhupada giving us this example. Is that a solution? So the material solution is never going to be sufficient for a material problem. What is the solution? Purification of the heart. So that is why, for that, we have to follow a process. So that's why it actually forces and impels. What is the reason for these perplexities? The reason for these perplexities are to force and impel and encourage us to reach to the 4th dimension of our existence. So surrender to a bona fide spiritual master, and Krishna is the original spiritual master, source of all spiritual masters. Self-realization, people who are interested, they're called Brahmanas, and when they surrender to a spiritual master, they become Vaishnavas. But a Kripana is a person who is not interested in self-realization, is interested in material activities, and then goes on suffering in the perplexities of the material world. And also go on suffering with the skin disease of overtly affection to family, society, country, so on and so forth. I'm not saying that don't have affection for your family or country or neighbors or society, but what is the foundation of that affection is more important to understand. Is the foundation of that affection is because of my own sense gratification, or is it because it actually enhances me to build a relationship based on Krishna? Okay, so this is he's done saying that he's not going to fight, and he actually commits that I can't decide that whether I should fight or not. I can't decide. I can't look at the whole thing that I know I'm a Kshatriya, I know I'm supposed to fight, but you know, these are the things which are impelling me not to proceed. Nikhil Prabhu, you have a question or reflection?
A question, Mataji. Sorry, I couldn't understand the foundation of the relationship. Can you please repeat again?
Yeah, so it's easy now. It's easy. So a person in who wants to, let's say that somebody is very attached to their family. The attachment is coming from not Krishna conscious platform. It's coming from the consciousness of skin disease in Prabhupada's language in this purport. Then that person will try to serve the family, try to or society or country as a political leader, as a leader of the whole of the particular place where they are. But it's not going to really satisfy the heart of anyone. Prabhupada says United Nations, only the flags are increasing. They're trying to unite the nations, but they're not able to unite the nations. They're only increasing the flags. Because if you're uniting the nations, then they should be stopped. There should not be any division, right? There shouldn't be any division of countries any further. So that is material consciousness. I'm doing it because it pleases me. I'm serving my children, I'm serving my family, I'm serving my country, I'm serving my society, I'm serving my job because it's pleasing me. But a Krishna conscious person will also do the same thing. They will take care of the family, they will take care of the society, they'll take care of the country. Arjun is going to do all that at the end of the war. He's not going to go and sit in a forest, even though right now he wants to do it, but Krishna is encouraging him not to do it. But he'll do it because Krishna asked him to do it. You know, he doesn't want to, you know, actually do anything to his family. He wants to keep his family. He wants to keep his kingdom in the hands of his cousins, brothers. But he wants to do that because he likes it, because it makes him comfortable. But then he's going to fight. He's going to do what is uncomfortable for him because Krishna is saying. But after fighting, he's going to rule and take care of his family because Krishna is saying. There's a difference in the consciousness. One author gives a definition of an emotion. What is the definition of an emotion? Anybody? And what is the definition of an emotion? We use the words so loosely, but we don't define them ever in our lives, huh? So emotion. We can have a vocabulary filled with the definition of an emotion the author gives is a feeling that puts one in motion. The feeling that puts one in motion is an emotion. So now it's very important to define that what is that feeling which is putting in me in the motion. Why are we sitting in this class? Because I want a degree of Bhakti Shastra. I really want to understand what is going on in my own life and what can I do. Yeah, the reasons can be both, but what is the most prime reason? What is going to help us to go to Krishna? Krishna says, oh, you passed Bhakti Shastri exam, now you are eligible. You are eligible to Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti, Sarvabhaum or Bhakti Vedanta. Okay, now come to Vaikuntha, come to Goloka Vrindavan, or is because you have become my devotee by understanding. What is knowledge or bhakti? What is the most important element of understanding Bhagavad Gita? Knowledge or becoming a devotee? What is it?
Becoming a devotee.
So you see, Krishna not gonna care at the time of death how many verses you memorized, this how many verses you actually imbibed and applied, and that helped you to become a devotee. Does that give an insight? I think Nikhil Prabhu asked the question, right? Did gives an insight? Okay, so it's important to know what is the intention. Set an intention before we proceed with the activity. Okay, and then Krishna, I missed the verses, but in verse number 8, 9, and 10, Arjun is talking about the feeling of grief. He's the grief. It says, I I'm not finding any means to fight this grief. Basically, Arjun knows, that he's going to win the war because Krishna is on his side. But he's just not ready to look at the death of his superiors for the sake of earning the kingdom. Whenever we read this, I think I said this before, I become convinced Arjun is 100% right. What is the use of fighting? What is the use of fighting? There is a pastime in 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam about King Vena. That's in genealogy of Dhruva Maharaj. This I think he's some great grandson. He's the son of Anga. Okay, and Anga is King Anga is very virtuous, very Krishna conscious. But somehow he has a son who's Vena, and this guy is, very bad. He's like the thief of all thieves. Even the thieves and robbers are scared of him, and he becomes the king. So because he's so bad that actually the Brahmanas actually kill him by chanting the mantras, because he's made everybody's life so disastrous. So in that particular pastime, there's a discussion that importance of Brahmanas in a society. There's every wealth that is owned by Grahasthas should be actually given to Brahmanas. The verse says, because Brahmanas teach us how to lead the life. So there's a very nice discussion in that past tense that how Brahmanas are the head of the society, how they are head of the society. And one of the reasons given is because they tell us, how to lead towards the principle of Krishna consciousness. So let's say if a leader of a particular community is in the category of Vaishya, so that particular community, even in temple, if somebody has Vaishya qualities, then the decision-making ability will be something like this. We need more manpower. We need more resources, money. We need more money. Okay, the answer of the solution, the problem will be in that particular thing. The Vaishya qualities of a leader of a society will be like this: money and manpower and agriculture, right? This trading, agriculture, cow protection and banking are the qualities of Vaishyas, right? We study in 18th chapter Bhagavad Gita. But if the leader of that particular community is in the category of a Kshatriya, then the decision-making ability will be something like this, that we need to provide protection. We need to, get more arms and ammunitions, get more taxation. Taxation is not for filling our own pocket, but for welfare of the society. But a leader of the society is of the Brahminical qualities, then there will be transcendental education. The vision will be forthcoming as to what is good for ultimate, Shreya and Priya. So it's important that one reaches to a spiritual master who's bona fide. This spelling is wrong, bona fide. Bona fide mane who's coming in the line of lineage of Parampara. Not like one morning I got up and I thought I'm the leader. Okay, so there's no death. So all these verses are more or less the same. There's no death for the soul. Now Krishna starts talking about qualities of the soul from verse 11 to 13. This is a very interesting verse. Who wants to recite this verse? Come on, jaldi. We are going over time this today.
Mataji, can I?
Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Shri Bhagavana Uvacha Ashocana Anavashocastvam Pradnya Vachaunsabhashase Gatasuna Agatasunascha Nanu Sochanti Panditaha.
Thank you. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for living nor for death. So this is a base for Krishna to speak about the qualities of the soul. You're talking like a very learned man, but actually you're a fool. So this is the duty of a spiritual master, that the spiritual master chastises the disciple. It's out of love. Chastises the disciple that actually you are a fool, which means that whatever you have learned so far, unlearned, so I can teach you what is right. In this case, Krishna is going to teach Arjun. Because if you're not a fool and if you're wise, then the symptom of a wise, first symptom is lament neither for living nor for the dead. That doesn't mean Krishna is not going to say that don't grieve, but don't get overtly attached. So Krishna chastises Arjun and says that you're talking like a learned man, but he's a fool spiritually. So who's a learned man? A learned man is a person who can differentiate between matter and spirit and understand that controller of both matter and spirit is Krishna, and also knows the difference between body and soul, does not lament for body whether it's dead or alive. Body is born and destined to vanquish, therefore body is not as important. And it differentiates between eternal, which is soul, and temporary, which is body. Okay, so these are the qualities of a learned man. Then he goes on to explain, there was never a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings in the future shall any of us cease to be. So Krishna said that at the soul level, we are all existing. You're talking about the death of your seniors, but there was never a time that they were not existing, you were not existing, or I was not existing. So in actually, Prabhupada writes in the purport that it defines the individuality of the living entity, of Krishna, and all the definitions of time, past, present, and future. The body, the dress will change, but the individuality as a soul will always be there. And he, because he's giving guarantee, no, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. And then there are two questions that Prabhupada raises in the purport. Has anyone read the purport clearly? And tell me what are the two questions that Prabhupada raises in the purport? Abhay, who has read? Prabhupada raises these two questions in the purport. I'm not going to answer. You have to read it between the lines. Nobody. You know, India, this is not a very good time for a class because everybody have lunch and the tummies are full. And then I think Kirti Mataji is like nighttime, she's ready for bed. And for me, and I think there's one more devotee who's on like the other part of where the sun is not out yet. So we are just out of the bed. So either way, this is not a good time for class for anybody. So please bear with me. That is why it is important to read and come to this 3 p.m. class for India time. So, you know,
Mataji, next time you please tell us what to prepare. I will come prepared, I promise. But I need to
last
know
time I
what
said read till verse 30. Didn't I say read till verse 30?
Then I missed.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I?
Yes.
So actually in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has said that even if someone is not believing in the, that the soul exists eternally, and someone wants to believe the Mayavad theory. So even then, there should be no cause for lamentation.
Okay, good. And what is the second question he is raising?
The second,
good, thank you. Okay, you read and come. Next time, if you want to know the answer, you remind me. Otherwise, Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. Yes, this is one of the questions that he's raising, that this actually refutes the Mayavadi concept that everything becomes nirvishesh, right? No variety. Vishesh means variety. Prabhupada explains the word in 3rd canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 26th chapter, meaning of the word Vishesh. Vishesh means variety. Nirvishesh means no variety. So everything becomes merged in the same light. So actually this verse refutes that nothing is nirvishesh because individuality is remaining. Individuality means everyone have their likes, dislikes, right? Their own thinking, their own input, desires, everything is there. Should I tell the second question? Will you read or I'm still learning about this class, so I'm still not palpating the pulse. I'm still not sure how we are going. So Prabhupada writes, after condemning the bodily conception of the living entities, how was it possible for Krishna to place conventional proposition on the body again? Okay, so he has already condemned the bodily conception of the living entities, right? He has already said that people who are wise, person who is wise, neither laments for living nor for dead, right? He's already said that. So if he already said that, then how can he actually put his proposition in the bodily concept one more time? So when he says there was never a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any one of us cease to be, then this is not on the bodily concept. Because he's already refuted that proposition. Got it? So these are the two questions that Prabhupada is raising in the purport. Read. Have you all read Bhagavad Gita at least once in your life, the whole thing? Yeah?
Oh, yes.
At least
Yes,
once?
Mataji.
Yes, yes. Okay. What, Prabhu? Okay, yes. Thank you very much for reading. Now read to understand. Okay, then this is a very important verse, I think very famous verse, and this is the verse we are supposed to memorize also in this chapter. Who knows this verse by heart? Okay, go ahead, Prabhu.
I know.
Yeah, Nikhil, Prabhu, go ahead.
देहिनो अस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं तजरा तथा देहान्तरस्प्राप्तिर्धीरस्तत् न मुह्यति.
Very nice. Thank you. So Krishna is saying Dehino Asmin Yatha Dehe. So in Dehe means body. Asmin means sees the body. So one who sees the body, or basically one who lives in the body, sees the body, goes through these changes. What are the changes? Kamaram. Kamaram means boyhood or childhood. Yavanam. Yavanam means young age. Jara. Jara means old age. So one who is living in the body, sees the body, going through these changes. Jara is the last thing. Then what happens? Tatha. After Jara, what? Deha anta. Deha means body. Anta means when it ends. So thereafter, when the body ends, praptir. The entity who was seeing the body, who was living in the body, seeing these changes in the body, praptir, gets another body. Dhirastatarna mohyati. One who is dhira. Mohyati means bewildered, does na mohyati, so does not get bewildered. Okay, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. In this definition, Prabhupada defines the definition of a sober person. Who is sober? Now you go and read. And then who knows this verse? This is also to be memorized. Jaldi, we'll finish quickly. Kirti Mataji, yes, tell me the verse. Not reading, but.
Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukadukadaha agamapaino nityastam tamstitikshasva bharata.
Very nice. You know what I like in this verse? Let's talk about the verse in this. Matra means mere. Sparsha means touch. Tukanteya means addressing Krishna. Arjuna is the son of Kunti. Sitoshana sukha dukkha daha. So suffers because of the touch. Just by mere touch, one suffers from sukha and dukkha, like happiness and distress. Agama apayino anityas, which is like impermanent, coming and going. Tam titikshva bharata. Titikshva means tolerate. Therefore, tolerate, O son of Bharat. This verse also refutes Mayavad philosophy, because Mayavad philosophy means that we have no feelings. Everything becomes nirvishesha. There is no variety now. So there is no variety, there is no feeling. But here in this verse, Krishna is not saying that there are no feelings. Krishna is not saying that there is no happiness or distress. He says there is happiness and distress. Yes, but what do? Tolerate. Because it is arising from the sense perception. And also, this is the verse. This is the only verse from what I can understand. If you know any other verse, you can tell. Where Krishna is addressing Arjun with two names. Now he's addressing Arjun with Kanteya and Bharata. Yeah. Right? So, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, a sign of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So we have to learn to tolerate. It's not that don't acknowledge. And I have not been able to understand fully that what does Krishna mean by saying tolerate the happiness. Easy to understand, tolerate the distress, right? is easy to understand, but how do you tolerate that happiness? Because happiness is something which we look for, live for, work for, walk for, talk for, eat for, right? When I was young, there used to be an ad in India, that Dhara cooking oil. Kamate kis liye hai? Khane ke liye. Have you heard that ad? And I know you must be younger than me, but anybody who's a middle-aged person. No, anyway, I don't want to get distracted. So basically, we look for happiness. Anybody planning for a disaster in their life can't wait for it to happen. So how do you tolerate happiness? If you understand, you teach me. But Krishna is saying tolerate. Krishna is saying that tolerate without being disturbed. Let it pass. It's something, one devotee explained it very nicely one time, that what does tolerance mean? He said, okay, let's say that you are in China and you're in a bus in China, and then the bus is playing the topmost, album which is current in China right now. And people who understand the Chinese language are like humming and dancing to the beats of the song. Will it affect you at all? Will you enjoy the song and sing and hum along with it?
No,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Why not? Everybody else is doing it.
Because you don't understand the language.
You don't understand that language. So what do? Sit down and tolerate, let other people dance and do whatever, because you can't do anything. So the devotee, who is a devotee of Krishna, has actually become a devotee, not like pretending to be a devotee or trying to be a devotee, but has actually become a devotee, doesn't speak that language anymore. So doesn't speak the language of duality, happiness and distress, doesn't speak the language of fault finding, doesn't speak the language. Krishna tells us to be equipoised in so many places. Bhagavad Gita tells us to be equipoised in what all things? One is this, happiness and distress. What are some of the other things that Krishna tells us to be equipoised in? Jaldi. Happiness, distress.
Man, apman, stuti,
Honor and
ninda.
dishonor. Be equipoised in honor. Okay, what else? I have a list actually. Yeah, hot and summer season, right? In this verse, not everybody sleepy or not awake yet or going to bed. We are like all over the globe. The sun is not come out or is at the peak or is going down or actually has gone down. So what else? Equipoised.
Friend and enemy.
Yes, very, very nice. Friend and enemy. What else? Stay equipoised. Success and failure. Remain equipoised, success and failure. Right? Remain equipoised in fame and infamy. Remain equipoised in pleasure and pain, which we are reading here as well. Equipoised in success, whether dead or alive, doesn't matter, right? Remain equipoised. So he's saying tolerate. Anyway, I was gonna say other scriptures begin with attachment, but this one's Krishna is saying tolerate. So, best among men, Arjun, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress, see, equipoised, not disturbed by happiness and distress, and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. This is like you're buying a ticket for liberation. So tolerate happiness. If any one of you really understand what does it mean to tolerate happiness, teach me. I have not really understood what it really, really means. And where is the example in the Shastras where we see that the happiness is tolerated? We see Pandavas, they're just tolerating all the distresses because they are remembering Krishna. We see Prahlad Maharaj tolerating all the distresses by meditating on Narsimhadev. We see Ambarish Maharaj tolerating the slot of Durvasa Muni because he's meditating on Krishna. We see Haridas Thakur in Chaitanya Charitamrita tolerating being beaten up by marketplaces. We see Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami tolerating so much to get to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but everywhere is like tolerate the distress. Where is the tolerate happiness? You think about it. So those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Who can explain this verse? We can finish here if you're tired. Who can explain this verse? But somebody has to explain this verse. Please raise your hand. I will read the verse one more time. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of the both. Nature of both. Rupa Mataji, why are you not talking?
It's okay.
Who was going to talk? Rupa Mataji?
Hare
Okay.
Krishna Mataji.
Explain. Very nice.
Those who are seers of the truth, they have understood that the body matter is actually matter. There is something called spirit, and living entities get bewildered by the influence because of ignorance. They're so bewildered. The only way they can remove ignorance is by re-establishing their relationship with Krishna. It's the only way to remove the ignorance.
What does it mean? That of the non-existent, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, there is no change. What does it mean?
A spirit soul never changes, and the spirit is always eternal.
Your voice is cracking. Is your voice cracking only for me or for everybody?
For Mataji.
Huh?
Everyone, Mataji, we also can't hear the voice clearly.
Okay. Maybe everyone else who's not speaking can mute themselves, please, so we can see. Rupa Mataji, try one more time, please. Rupa Mataji. You know, Namineshwar Prabhu once told me sometimes preaching online is painful. We used to, when we started preaching, we would say, okay, everybody unmute, let's recite the verse together. Somebody is going in the northern direction, somebody southern direction, somebody eastern, western, no overlap, you know. Then he told me, don't do that. It's very painful. It's painful. Don't do that. One person at a time. So, anyway. Okay, so the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance. And you cannot endure. Mane, you can't save it for long. It's going to go anyway. And of the eternal, there is no change. So Krishna is actually calling soul as unchangeable, or the word used is kutastha, fixed, does not change. How many of us love to move our houses every week? Pack up. We need a change. Our jobs every year. Pack up.
Okay.
No.
You know, we don't want those changes because where is it coming from? You know, where is it coming from? One has to become curious. It's coming from because Krishna has kept us that way, very comfortable. Our countries, you know, can't wait to change countries every, few years. I have friends in foreign services, and they're like, every 3 years you have to move countries, and their children are going through so much because there's no stability in school education, making friends. So there's so many aftermaths of these big diplomatic jobs which we don't realize, but they're there. Because the soul is not looking for that kind of a change. It's looking for association with Krishna and enjoyment. And then he says, Avinashi tu tad vidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avesai avyayasasya na kaschit kartum arhati. Avinashi tad vidhi yena sarvam idam tatam. That which pervades. Sarvam idam tatam means that which is everywhere. Sarvamidam, everywhere in the body. Know that which pervades the entire body. You should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So he's giving assurance to Arjun that at soul level, nobody is getting destroyed. So what are you really killing at soul level? Goes on to say the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight. Don't think that if you don't fight, they'll not die. They're gonna die. You're gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. But you fight. You don't give up your reason of not fighting because there is impending death. It's not a very good reason. Well, well, Arjun can say that I don't want to be the cause of the death, you know. Marna hai, maro, magar main kyun maru? Right? Like, why do I become a cause of the death? So, let's see if Arjun is going to pose any question or not. So neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks it's slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. Means that if you think that the soul is killer or the soul has been killed, so slayer and slain, that person is not in knowledge, because the soul cannot kill and cannot be killed. But this doesn't mean that we can go and open slaughterhouses. Why can't we open slaughterhouses or why can't we commit crime or kill? Because the soul, nobody is killed, no. At the soul level, nobody is killing and nobody is killed. Why can't we open slaughterhouses then? I think I've lost the
Because we have not created.
Because
we
what?
are not. We have not created that animal, or we are not the creator, so we don't have the right to kill.
But you're not killing, no. Krishna is saying, but the slain slays not, not is slain. Then I'm not killing the soul. And as a soul, like I am not killing, and as a soul, the other living entity is also not being killed. Get it? Like at the transcendental level, I as a soul not killing, and the other living entity as a soul is not being killed. So why can't I open the slaughterhouses?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
We shouldn't arrest the progress of any living entity.
Yes.
That is, we should practice non-violence or ahimsa.
Yes. Mataji, so you're not in the category of after lunch or going to bed or right out from the bed. Like, which part of the world are you in? Because you're giving.
India, Mataji. India.
Oh, okay, so maybe you're delaying your lunch. Okay, thank you. Yes, because we cause disturbance. We have no right to cause a disturbance. It's like, okay, it's not that, okay, I like somebody's house, so I'll go in and then throw their stuff out and go and occupy that house. Okay, nobody is getting killed. I'm not killing, they're not killed, but it causes a disturbance. And that disturbance is criminal. Okay, so that's why I cannot do it. You have no right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to come to the final thing. Even though the important verse is this. Okay. Krishna says different qualities of the soul in 24 and 25. It's unbreakable, insoluble, neither burnt nor dried, everlasting, present on everywhere. You have to know these. This is in Bhakti Shastri too. Unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same. Says invisible, inconceivable, immutable. So I'll come to the final table, which I think you all can read on your own. Is this. Basically describes 30 qualities of this soul in all these verses from 11 to 30. Eternal, not changing, indestructible, immeasurable, imperishable, neither slayer nor slain, no birth, no death, not coming to being, does not come into being, will not come into being, unborn, ever existing, perennial, immutable, cannot be cut to pieces, burned by fire, moistened by water, withered by wind, unbreakable, insoluble, neither burned nor dried, everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same, invisible, inconceivable, amazing. We should discuss this verse next week. Amazing verse. Some look at the soul as amazing, some hear of the soul as amazing, some see as the soul is amazing, and some describe the soul as amazing, but despite of doing all these things, some cannot understand what is the soul. Okay, I'll rest my case here today. I think more than 1 hour, nobody can go on, right? So we studied that Arjun gave the final reason for not fighting. What is the final reason for not fighting?
Indecisiveness.
Indecision. So then what does he do? What does he do to make a decision?
He surrenders
Krishna
He surrenders to Krishna as what?
as a disciple.
As a disciple. And we understood that what is the importance of surrendering as a disciple. And then Krishna says what? How is Krishna, what are the nice adjectives Krishna is using to address Arjun?
He chastises him first.
He says, you're a fool. you're talking like a wise man, but yeah, fool. So basically, I can say that to myself, like I'm a fool, talking like a wise man, but not. Why fool? Because person who's wise laments neither for dead nor for living. And then he goes on to describe the qualities of the soul. We will cover up those qualities that I missed today. Any question, reflection, realizations, corrections? I did not